Hey, Andrew Wood, and welcome to another Six-Figure Teaching Pro video. Let's quickly review what we've talked about so far. Obviously, we talked about getting all of your data into your CRM. We talked about working on your business, not in it. We've talked about honing the 10 reasons why people should do business with you. We've talked about blogging. We've talked about having a USP. By now, you should have a solid, unique selling proposition. And we've talked about sharing that on Facebook. Now let's go and talk about a couple of other very, very important things. One of the most important things is to make six figures, is to understand what needs to happen in order to make that kind of income. So roughly, and math is not my strong point, but if you want to make $100,000 a year, you have to make roughly, what, $8,200 a month, something like that, which means you've got to make roughly $2,000 a week plus, which really, when you boil it down to, comes to, I think, something like $66 or $70 an hour. So if you're working 40 hours a week and you're charging less than $66 or $70 an hour, you are not on track to making $100,000. So that means either A, you have to work more than 40 or 50 hours a week, or you have to charge more, or you have to find additional sources of income from your teaching expertise to help you get to that number. So this is something I did, again, back in my karate school, and it goes back to some of the great stuff that I read originally from Brian Tracy. Another great program is Brian Tracy's Universal Laws of Success and Achievement. And, you know, the first question you got to ask yourself is, when you're engaged in any type of activity, is this $66 or $70 an hour work? Because if it's not, then you're not doing what you need to be doing to reach your goal. Now, maybe you're charging $40 an hour, maybe you're charging 25 pounds, you know, depending on where you are, 30 euros, whatever. Maybe you can't jump your prices up immediately, but over the course of this program, I'll show you how you can get more money. But you just need to be conscious of the fact that in order to make $100,000 a year, teaching roughly 40 hours a week, you're going to have to roughly average $66 to $70 an hour. So just understand that going in. And it doesn't matter right now if you're charging $30 or $40 or $50, but you do need to understand that there's only so many hours in a day, time is finite, and you have to start focusing your energy on those sources of income that will provide you with the greatest money. So, for example, I was talking to an instructor recently who gave junior rates at 50% of his senior rates, which quite frankly shocked me. I mean, his senior rates were around $50 a lesson, and his junior rates were $25. So every time he taught a junior, he's moving further and further away from his income goal. Now, it may be a noble cause to teach juniors. It may be a noble cause to teach minorities, and, you know, however you do that, hey, God bless you. But if you're looking to make a six-figure teaching income, you cannot be spending your time with $25 students when you've got $50 students. And, you know, this is a big paradigm shift for a lot of people. So one of the first things I'm going to suggest is take a look at how many hours you want to work, because really what this comes down to is personal goals. You know, some people are willing to work 60 hours a week and teach under the floodlights at night. Some people are not. Some of it's lifestyle. Some people are not willing to move. I mean, I always joke, back in the day, Greyhound had an ad in America that said, you know, don't like where you're at, for 99 bucks. Greyhound will take you anywhere you want to go. Because I've instructors call me and say, well, you know, I'm in a really small town and I can't make $100,000 here. And you're right on two counts. Number one, you don't believe you can make $100,000. And number two, maybe the town is too small. Maybe you've got to move. But there is no doubt that anybody watching this program is capable of making a six-figure income if you follow, you know, some of these guidelines. So you have to decide, how many hours do I want to work? And at what rate do I want to work? Because that dictates whether or not you can get a six-figure income. So one of the things goes back to pricing and packaging too, because I will show you how you can make money for lessons you never teach, and I will show you how you can make residual money. But the basic goal still has to be that you have to get paid somewhere around $66 or $70 an hour to make $100,000. So the first thing I would say is, how long are your lessons? And this is something I learned in the karate business very early on. You know, whether you teach a lesson for an hour or 30 minutes doesn't really matter to the student as long as the student is getting results. And I think too many people are focused on the idea that they're selling their life 1 hour at a time when it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. For one thing, I would probably never give a 1 hour lesson. At the very most, I'd give a 45-minute lesson. And much more likely, I'd tell the student to show up 15 minutes early to warm up and give them a 30-minute lesson. Now just think about this. If you're right now in the habit of giving 40 1-hour lessons, you can only see 40 people. But if you could switch your lessons to 30 minutes, you could then give 80 lessons in the same 40 hours. I mean, there's an astonishing difference between teaching 40 people and teaching 80 people. And let's face it, the typical golf lesson is 1, 2, 3 points, and then it's repetition, repetition, repetition with your experienced eye watching the student to make sure that they're doing it correctly. And this is why I really feel that for the most part, students that are really serious about learning, a coaching program makes more sense than per se something by the hour, where you say, look, I'll sell you this long-term coaching program. I'll be on the back of the range between 4 and 6 or 4 and 7 in the summer for 3 hours, and you just come anytime. We'll give you as many lessons as you want. But I'll get more into that in pricing and packaging. But really look at it. You know, why are you giving 1-hour lessons? Why are you giving 45-minute lessons? Even if you took a 45-minute lesson and changed it to a 40-minute lesson, you'd actually, by the end of the day, have another lesson spot. And, you know, that's not going to hurt anybody. If you took a 45-minute lesson and said lessons are now 40 minutes, that's 5 minutes times 8. There's another 40-minute lesson. That's another 5 lessons a week you can teach, another 20 a month. So right there, by just cutting your lesson time from 45 minutes to 40 minutes, you can get another 20 lessons a month, which if you're charging $50 is another $1,000 in income simply by changing your schedule. And of course, if you changed it back to 30 minutes, you could do even more. Now, maybe that's a little radical for some of you, but certainly if you're teaching by the hour, you definitely need to get out of that program. If you're teaching 45 minutes, then immediately consider cutting it to 40 minutes. Right there is 20 extra lessons, $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year by making a 5-minute schedule change. That's pretty exciting, isn't it? And it's going to get better because I'm going to show you how to do a lot of simple things that will help you maximize your talent and expertise. So start really looking at how you spend your time. Start really looking at what people are paying you. You know, the rule is the 80-20 rule. You know, 80% of your income comes from 20% of your customers. Who are those 20%? What do those 20% look like? How can you get more of that 20% and less of the 80% that don't take series of lessons or don't show up very often or don't refer other customers to you? Really look at the 80-20 rule. Do an inventory of your current best customers. So let's say that you've got 100 people taking lessons to keep the numbers easy. Look at that top 20. Look at those people that come every week. Look at those people that are engaged with you and try to find out what's similar with them so you can go out and find more people like them. How can you get them to bring their friends? How can you get them to refer you? Because that top 20% is where you want to be. What you ultimately want to do at the end of this course is you want to flip it so that 80% almost go away and you're focusing all of your time and all of your energy on the higher engaged students, the students that really appreciate what you have to offer and that are willing to pay what you're charging. So do an inventory, take a look at these students, see who they are, and try to figure out how you can get into their network. Spend more of your time asking about their friends, asking who they play with, suggesting that they bring one of their friends along for a trial lesson because, hey, birds of a feather flock together. You'll find that higher income people or higher engaged people or more intelligent people or whatever you want to categorize them are will stick together. So focus some attention on getting those people to bring their friends, their associates, their co-workers to you. And hey, don't be bashful. We'll talk about this in the referral session, but don't be bashful. Don't be afraid to ask your customers on a constant basis, not just every now and then, but on a constant basis to bring their friends, share the love, spread the word about you and your teaching business. Most of the people you'll be doing business with will be business professionals. They understand it. One professional to another professional. You know, the guy's a doctor, a lawyer, dentist, butcher, baker, candlestick maker, whatever he is. If he's in business, he'll understand when you look to him and say, hey, John, you know, I'm trying to grow my teaching business right now with people just like you. Who else do you know who might be interested in improving their game? Who do you play with who isn't playing well right now? Who is it that I can give this 15-minute free swing evaluation to that you could hand out to one of your buddies at work? Whose name shall I write on this certificate? So go after that top echelon. If you want to get that top money, you have to go after the top echelon. Okay, so we focused on the fact that you have to spend your time going after the top people. We've focused on the fact that in order to make $100,000, the minimum six-figure income, you're going to have to do $60 or $70 an hour. And we've talked about how we can change our timing, just a simple change of timing, change your lessons down to 45 minutes, from 45 minutes to 40, or even down to 30, can really give you more opportunity to make more income. Now, I'm not talking about lowering your price when you take away the time, but you're not raising your price. To most people, believe it or not, it's not going to be a huge deal. I know you probably think it is, but if you take them from 45 to 40, they're not even going to notice it. You take them from 45 to 30, yeah, they might comment on it once or twice, but as long as they're still getting a good lesson, if they hang around afterwards, you watch them in a few shots, it's really not going to be a problem. The focus should be on the lesson and the cure and the fix and the prescription, not actually on how much time you spend with them. Because otherwise, you're never really going to get out of that selling a life by the hour mentality, and it's critical that you do. One other thing I want to talk about today is your story. And your story is a very, very important part of the overall marketing plan. Now, this is different from the 12 reasons. This is different from your bio, although the bio may be a good starting point. But nothing is more important than your story. And your story is going to become a critical part of your website. It's going to become a critical part of your marketing. It's going to become a critical part of your sales pitch. And what I want you to do before the next session is I want you to write your story. Now, it doesn't have to be long. It might only be a page. It should probably be at least a page, which is 750 words. And your story needs to say how you fell in love with golf, how you fell in love with the game, when the road to Damascus moment was where you realized you were born to be a teacher, or you were born to coach kids, or you were born to help seniors or help beginners or help low handicappers, whatever it is. But you need to tell your unique story. And this is a very, very important part of sales and marketing that a lot of people miss. Most people go straight to the kind of dollars and cents. Call me up, I teach golf, I'll fix your swing, here's the price. If you really want to take your teaching business to the next echelon, you need to pay very careful attention to this part, to the development of your story, your core story, the story that connects with your customer so they can see that you are unique in your passion and expertise and concern for their game. So the story I always told when I was in the martial arts business and why I was able to do so well in the martial arts business is because my story was so real and it connected with the people. And just to reiterate it very briefly, I owned a small karate school in Irvine, California, and I was going broke. I wasn't that great at karate. I wasn't that great at marketing. I wasn't that great at sales. And so I wasn't doing very well. And one day I realized I was going to completely run out of money. I already had my house mortgaged, my credit cards mortgaged, and I sat down and said, why are you failing? And the reason I was failing was because I didn't have enough students. Why didn't I have enough students? I wrote. Maybe you don't know anything about student attraction. And so I went out, bought the books, bought the tapes, and in a very short period of time redid my marketing, and bingo. All of a sudden I went from making $7,000 a year to making $10,000, $20,000 a month. It was really that simple. So when I told that story to karate instructors, they immediately recognized that I'd been through what they'd been through. I'd been a struggling karate instructor. I'd been broke. I'd had my credit cards maxed. And then I found a solution. And I was offering the solution. And that's exactly the same type of emotional story you need to tell your students. Who got you involved in golf? Was it your dad? Was it your grandfather? Was it your best friend? Was it your mother? You know, what were your aspirations in golf? When did you realize that you weren't going to win the British Open, but you had a real passion for teaching? You really want to get that story conceptualized, and the more emotion, the more detail. Override it rather than underwrite it. If you can write a page, 2 pages, 3 pages, and then shrink it back down to something later, that's fine. But what I want to get out of this is I want to feel your unique story, your unique personality, your unique passion. And then in later segments, I'm going to show you how that fits into this whole big picture. But it's very, very important that you do this. And I'll put up a couple of things in the vault that you can look at that'll give you some really cool ideas as to how you can craft this story. But it's a very, very important part of the overall picture. So let's take a quick reiteration of where we're at today. Today we have talked about your time, how important your time is, and how you need to be doing high priority work and focusing on high priority students if you really want to make a 6-figure income. And we talked about the story and the importance of the story. So you got a lot of work there. We've got a lot of stuff already accomplished. I look forward to seeing you next week, month, wherever it is.